From the production studios of Epic Financial Strategies here in Red Bank, New Jersey, we are Infinity X, giving a stage and microphone to human excellence in the pursuit of creating infinite sales opportunities by having conversations with powerhouses. Guys, this evening we have a very special treat. We have Pamela Bardhi in studio this evening. What's up, Pam? How are you tonight? So good to see you, partner.
So good to see you as well, partner.
It's
always an honor.
Oh no, the honor is mine. It has been from the day that we met. And folks, this is Pamela Bardhi. We featured Pam about a year and a half ago when we were really just starting to build out Infinity X. Remember that?
Yeah,
it was like, I was doing it from,
brand new.
I know. I was doing it from my kitchen table. And
It's the way it starts.
That's right.
That's Amazon started in a garage.
That's it.
Hell
So
yeah.
we are the Amazon of podcasting, right?
We totally are.
How far that we've come, though. You know, it's incredible.
It's honestly insane. And like I see this setup here and I'm just like, this is the coolest thing ever, because I remember where it was like a year ago, and it was pretty much exactly a year ago that we were here. Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
It was last January that
it was last January. Yep, that's
and
right.
to see it grow is tremendous.
We have we've really, along with you, really leveled up. And I think one of the things that we have tried to focus on very consistently is to bring value-added content, relevant, timely content, based upon what's happening in markets, based upon what's happening economically, based upon what you want to see as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And we're looking to give, a stage to relevant, relevant data, relevant information and relatable information, Pam. And, tonight we're going to go really, really deep on what you're up to in the world, what you're putting out there, some of the new incredible things that you have going on, what we talked about today. So, folks, Pamela Bardhi, the Underdog. You can catch her on the Underdog podcast, Pamela Bardhi on Instagram. Pam and I had the good fortune, I had the good fortune of meeting Pam about a year and a half ago through another ecosystem partner of ours. And, I was absolutely blown away with, where you came from leading up until the point that we first met. So, Pam, what I do want to do is I just want to rehash before we get into what you're up to right now, that journey. Why you call yourself the Underdog. Can you get into that a little bit?
For sure. So the real estate underdog, I mean, honestly, my parents were the OG underdogs. 100%.
That's original gangster for all you.
Yes. I was listening. Yes. So like literally my parents, so I was born in Tirana, Albania. So I left, so my parents actually grew up in the communist era.
Wow.
So in Albania, so they didn't have churches, they didn't have, you know what I mean? Like none of that. They grew up in the government. This was the government. Everything was the government, right? It was communism. Yeah. And so when I was born in 91, it was the collapse of communism. Yeah. And so my parents, given the political climate, they wanted to get out of Albania. So we went to Rome, Italy. And when I was 6 months old until I was 5 years old.
Okay.
So, and then when I was 5 years old, moved to the U.S.
What a change.
It was like, English was my third language. Third. Yeah. And so what was the crazy part is like my grandmother put my parents' names in the visa lottery.
Really?
Yeah, and they didn't even know. So my parents tried a few times, didn't get it, and then my grandmother put the names in. The day my little brother was born, my grandmother walked into the hospital and was like, hey, congratulations on your baby boy. By the way, your name's got chosen to go to the visa lottery in the United States.
Unbelievable.
And it was crazy. My dad was like, we're going. And my mom was hesitant because newborn son. I was 5 years old, no family over there, didn't know English, didn't know anything. No job security, didn't know where they were going to stay. Like, when I say nothing was set up
like
for them.
Shirt on their back, literally.
Shirt on their back, literally.
Holy mackerel.
And so for me, I'm like, I hear that story and I'm just like, my parents came here and built something from nothing. They're the original underdogs, right? Yeah. So my dad started working all types of weird jobs when we came here because he didn't speak English. Eventually got into the restaurant world. Owner became his mentor. Mentor gave him a down payment to go out and buy a business.
And folks, hold on a second. Not only did he not speak English, he's 6'8" and he's in Boston, right?
Yeah, he's a huge, tall guy. And, like, honestly, like, my dad was, like, he was on roofs. He was putting away photos at Kodak, like, working back of house at restaurants, whatever he could do to make doing what he had to do, right? Yeah. And so, but his mentor became, like, his cheerleader, right? Like, the owner of the restaurant. And he told him, the way that you build wealth in America is one of two ways. A, you own real estate, you own your own business.
Wow.
And he could have kept him as an employee,
Yeah.
but he chose to empower him.
Did he choose did he seek out mentorship, or did that just
No,
automatically?
friendship.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Friendship. And
Yeah.
he's like, I came here and I sacrificed everything on the line for my family so that they can become something great and make something of themselves.
Put that into perspective for a
Yeah.
second, folks, because people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for that level of mentorship that just found. I mean, nothing happens by accident. That's incredible.
100%.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And so he gave my dad a loan basically to go out and buy a business.
Wow.
And my dad went out and bought a restaurant.
Huh. Okay.
So in
Why
Boston,
a restaurant, by the way?
I think because that's what he knew. He was working back of house, and so he started learning the operations, and
Yep.
he felt like he
Yep.
could do it himself.
Yep.
Which was really cool. And so my dad got into that world, and I started working there when I was 10, because before that I
Wow.
rarely saw my dad. Like I was home with my mom. My mom was doing whatever she could,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
To work from home because we were so little. And then I was like, I want to go to work with dad. And my mom's like, no. I was like, yeah, I want to go. I want to work with my dad. That's literally what I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I would go when 10 years old, like working with my dad. And so he's like, all right, go to the cashier and learn what the cashier is doing. And then I would see how they would interact with customers and all that stuff. By the time I was 18, I was running the show.
Wow. Okay. Because
With my dad.
Yeah.
Because I was so ingrained in it.
Yep.
And I was treated as an employee from day one.
Yep.
My dad was like, okay, fine. You can work with me, but.
You went from chief officer of dishwashing to.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. No, but you learned
Exactly.
every single aspect
Every
of
single
what
aspect.
it was, right? Yeah.
And
yeah.
at the time, I kind of hated it, to be honest with you. I
Sure.
was like, I'm a middle school kid. I want to go to a middle school dance.
Yeah.
But I had to work until 8 p.m. and then I could go to the middle school dance. And no other kids had to do that. And at the time, being a teenager
That's a
and
hard
young
thing.
and angry,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
I just want to hang out with my friends, But like now I'm like, oh my God, that was the best experience I could have ever had. Because then by 21, I had 2 restaurants under my belt.
Wow, okay, so hold the phone here, folks. Okay, so by 21, she had 2 restaurants.
Yeah.
You were 18 when you started running the original restaurant. How did you duplicate?
Oh, yeah. So basically, I was running the whole show for my parents by the time I was 18. And so I
Okay.
had their model down
Okay.
by 18.
Okay.
And then from there, I had my own restaurants after that. But it was a little bit of a shift as to how I got there, because that was not the original plan. A lot of people think like, okay, Pam was literally supposed to be an entrepreneur and she knew it and all of that. That is
Born
one big lie.
entrepreneur. Yeah. Yeah.
That was one big lie.
Really?
I was definitely an entrepreneur at heart, still am, always will be, right? But at the time, when I went to my undergrad, I was going to go and literally work for someone after I graduated and then maybe own a business one day.
And where'd you go to undergrad?
Stonehill College.
You went to Stonehill College.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I was there, and first I went into marketing, and then I had to take this applied calculus for business course, and that messed me up because I had almost a full scholarship to Stonehill, and then I had this course. I had like a 30 halfway through the semester, and it was literally the last week I can drop a course, and I was like, I'm dropping this course. But I was like, I can't stand it. The professor's not helping me, and I was like freaking out. And but I was like, this was a mandatory class for my major for marketing, and I literally went through like, this was like my freshman year. I'm like, I'm a failure.
You're
I'm
having
a
a heart
mess.
attack,
I'm
right?
I'm like, because
Sure.
I was in college. I was 17. I was younger than everybody else.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was freaking out because of my scholarship. I could lose it. So, with that being said, I was like, all right. And so I literally dropped that class, and then that made me turn my entire major completely into communications. And then eventually I got into wanting to create my own major. So I was the first one in Stonehill College history to create my own entrepreneurship major.
Yep.
So that was cool. And then because they had the minor, but nobody did the major. So I did interdisciplinary studies and created my own major in tandem.
Created your own major.
Yes.
I love that.
In tandem with
That's as
communications.
entrepreneurial as it gets right there, by the way.
in tandem with everything else, right? So like my communications, which was my formal degree, right? And then, I was like, I'm going to be in events and marketing at the biggest like event arenas in the Boston market. And so
Okay.
that was my goal. Literally got an internship at the biggest one in Boston my junior year of college. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, like this is going to be great. This is going to be fun. Cranked it the whole time.
Yeah.
Whenever I'd participate in corporate meetings, I used to get yelled at because I was the intern. And I was just like driving. But like, I always had this thing where like, I don't like people telling me what to do. Like, I don't know what, like, I was just like, don't tell me what, you know what I mean? Like, if you ask me a question, I'm going to say it to you. I'm not just going to sit there and be submissive and not listen.
Right.
I'm going to do my thing. You asked me to participate, so I'm participating. And I used to get scolded at, whatever. So go into my meeting, my final meeting. And I get my grade, and I'm like, sweet. I am anticipating a wonderful A.
Yeah.
Because I'm there every day.
I
I'm
don't
cranking
actually
out.
in college they even give A pluses. It's just 4.0, right?
Honestly,
It's just A. So, yeah.
It's an internship for college.
By the way, shows you how many A's I got in college, right?
It was literally like it was crazy because I'm sitting there and I'm like, you're supposed to get an A when you've participated, you've done everything that you were gonna do. And she's like, no, she's like, oh, Pam, I'm giving you a B minus, and I'm like,
B minus.
what the hell?
Yeah. Right.
B minus? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so, but I didn't, obviously didn't verbalize it. She probably saw the look on my face because I wear my heart on my sleeve, right? So I'm like, oh my God, what the hell? And she literally said 3 words that changed my life. Actually, 4. You're just too ambitious.
You're just too ambitious.
And
How did that land with you? Because that's a very awkward statement to make.
It was like, how do I explain this? So I'm a Scorpio. We're known as fire. Okay. Yeah. So what happened first was an internal rage that I was like, please don't come out and flip out and scream. Right? Self-control. And then the other part was like this like overwhelming like sadness, like I had failed. And then like I was like, oh no, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you and like all of that. And then I walked out of the door. And then I kept going. I was like super sad. And like I'm leaving the office. And then before I walk, like I literally walked through the thresholds as I'm leaving the building to go outside. And it was like this voice inside my head that was like, Pam, you're okay. You're going to crush it.
Mm-hmm.
And do it for you. Like literally that's what I heard. Do it for you. And I'm like.
Was that the first time that you had that light bulb go off where it was like.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been doing for others up until this point, but like do it for yourself.
Yeah.
That was the
like the message was like you like pretty much like you've already got it. Just crank out.
Yep.
Like what to do. Basically like your own business. To me that meant my own business.
Sure.
And I was like, and I called my parents and I was like, hey mom, hey dad, I just want to let you know I'm not working for absolutely anyone. I wouldn't dare work for anyone when I graduate college, and I'm gonna do my own thing. Don't know what it is yet. I'll get back to you. They were like, you're going into your senior year. What are you talking about? You're supposed to be secure. You're supposed to be this. And they're freaking out. Meanwhile, my dad, my mom, that's my mom, freaking out.
Right.
Then my dad's like,
right.
Pam, so no problem. He's like, just let me sit you down for a second. If you want to get into business, you have to remember one thing. You got to have a big heart.
Got to have a big heart.
Yeah. He's like, in business, you got to have a big heart. You got to want to help people, and that's how you'll be successful. And he's like, I know you can do it, but it's going to be challenging. And I was like, challenge accepted. At that point, I didn't even know what my challenge was. I was like, I didn't even know what I was going to, I didn't even know what I was doing. And so, I spent some time figuring out what are my passions? What do I know? Right. And so I knew the restaurant industry, but I didn't necessarily want to dive deep in like the restaurant stuff. So I wanted like to start off in desserts.
And you were still running 2 restaurants now at this point, right?
No, this was before. This was my senior year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
and so my senior year, I built out my like dessert cafe, which was called Ria Cafe. And so that was like those cafes in Italy that you would see. Right.
Yeah.
And then I got an offer to be a partner from a gentleman that I had interned with years prior to. And we had a contract that basically was in downtown Boston.
Okay.
It was a bistro, Charles River Bistro. And we controlled like all the July 4th operations and any operation that happened in the city of Boston in that one location, like miles on stretch.
Wow.
And then I had that store. So I spent my whole senior year working on these 2. And that's how I had 2 restaurants basically by 21.
Got it.
Which was wild, right? I found myself immediately, like they both were in full swing by the time I graduated. And I found myself working like 14 to 16 hour days. Met these real estate developers who were just like, and then watching Flip or Flop, all these shows that were coming on HGTV, because that's when they really launched for the very first time, right?
Yep.
And so I was like, dude, I need to build a different stream of revenue. What am I doing? Like, what is happening here? And so I was like, I decided I want to be in real estate development. I want to just flip houses as a different, keep my restaurants, just build this as a different income stream, flip houses, whatever. Hired a coach, dove into that world.
So hired a coach prior to
flipping. Yes,
got it.
100%.
Now, in hindsight, how valuable was that?
100,000% valuable. It was scary even with a coach,
Yeah.
let alone without a coach.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to sidestep all of the obstacles.
Yep.
I want to learn from other people's mistakes, not trying to make this myself, because in development you can lose thousands, like hundreds of thousands of dollars And I'm like, I'm all set. I want to bypass that. Because also people were investing in me at that time.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I didn't want to let them down. And I have other people's money counting on me. I better know what I'm doing. First flip, generating almost 100K in revenue.
Wow.
And I'm
Say that one more time. First flip was how much?
Almost 100K in revenue.
Boom. Okay.
It's like 93, something like that. And I was like, holy what? And so I was like, let's rinse and repeat that. And then slowly my restaurants phased out. I sold and leased those and then stepped into the real estate game more. As I was moving forward, I was getting my real estate license and I got into the commercial realm and then just like kept elevating construction license. Like all of these things started happening, but it was a stepping stone that all I said to myself was like, I just want to add a different revenue stream here. And then it transformed the whole game because I wasn't looking to change my entire career. Like all I was trying to do was just build something else so I could keep having more revenue streams coming in. And then it just changed everything.
Unbelievable. And so
so
that changed everything, right? And then you started to move into the arena of influence as well, right?
That's a whole new game.
They were kind of like simultaneous to one another. What was it like, what was your strategy looking like when you decided to start to call it monetize what you're good at, right? And leverage your influence out there.
Well, it was crazy. So like I was crushing it for a while, like honestly. And I got to a point in my career where I was doing so well in construction development and everything that I was doing. And I'd gotten to a 9-figure real estate career, which is I've sold, developed, acquired over 100 mil in and around the Boston market, which was insanely awesome. At that time, I was almost 27. I was 27.
27 years old, over $100 million in deals.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in for a second, folks.
So it was super cool. It was super cool. And like then I got featured in Forbes and in Time Magazine and like all by 27. And like I also had paid off all my debts. I was financially free. And I was like just chilling. I was like, sweet, mastered this game. Life is awesome. Cool. And then it was around the time that my grandfather had passed. So he had pancreatic cancer. And when he was sick, we were all around his bedside. And we surrounded him. And I just remember at that moment, it was like, it was insane. Like we were just there. And I just remember everyone talking about memories. Nobody was talking about money. Nobody was talking about work. Nobody's like, it's memories and legacy. And I'm like, and in those moments, I was like, dang, I don't ever want to be on my deathbed and say, I wish I worked more. I've never seen anybody do that. Everyone's focused on legacy and memories and all these things. And so my life shifted. Like I was like, I want to do more. Like I want to do more, and that little voice inside my head kept saying, Pam, you're doing great and awesome for yourself, but what are you doing for the world? And that really got me. And I was like, damn it. I'm lining my own pockets. Like I achieved what I wanted to achieve in this game. And this is really exciting. But when you get to a certain threshold, you're like, like money's just not everything.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And
it's impact.
So it's impact. Exactly. And so I was like, how do I integrate? Like, how did I get here? Right. Because a lot of people ask me that. Hi, Pam, how'd you get to that level at such a young age? And it's like, well, it took a whole village of people around me. It was my mentors, my teachers, my advisors, like everybody. Like it took a whole village to create who I am.
Yeah.
That's why when I hear the term self-made, I'm kind of like, that's not true. Because there's a lot of cheerleaders in your life that made you happen. Right. So in my world, I was like, okay, I really just want to interview people and like hear their story. And maybe that'll inspire other people and spark something in them, because they'll be from all different walks of life and we'll rock and roll. And initially it was supposed to be like a TV show type of setup.
Sure. Yeah.
And then COVID hit and the studios closed down.
Right.
So then I had to position it
real quick, right?
and position into a podcast. And so I started doing that and like it was insane. So I launched in 2020 and literally within like now it's 2022, we're in now 65 plus countries, top 1.5% of podcasts in the world, top 100 entrepreneurship podcasts, and like just had some of the most insane guests. Like who's coming next? I don't want to spoil it. Should I spoil it? Like one of the guests that's coming on. So one of the guests that's coming on super duper soon is Kevin Harrington, original shark from Shark Tank.
Original shark from Shark Tank.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we had like the founder of Reebok, Joe Foster, just like mind-blowing stories, like Bill Dolan, who literally died on a plane, came back to life, and just like shares that. Like just the stories are unbelievable. And that basically blew up to a whole nother level. And what that sparked in me was the whole love for like coaching and speaking for others. Like that was like building different revenue streams is my thing. Yep. Like that's my jam. I know real estate really well, and I know how to diversify that and learning different things and basically helping people, meeting them where they're at so they can break through and then move their financial strategies in. So through real estate and all different ventures. And So now that's what I'm dedicated to. And that's why I'm the real estate underdog. And I help you build different streams of revenue through different elements of real estate and more.
We are Infinity X, giving a stage and microphone to human excellence. I'm joined by Pamela Bardhi, who is the real estate underdog. And I got to tell you, folks, if you're not paying attention, you need to pay attention to what she is up to. She's doing massive things. Put your questions into the chat for Pam. You can ask her about how she built out in real estate. You can ask her about how she got into construction. You can ask her really put anything out there within reason, obviously. But Pam, so you just recently launched a coaching program, right? Because okay, so you were talking about how can you give back, right? And I know that your coaching program centers around a specific vertical that you are really, really good at. So why don't you put out to the good folks out there what you're up to in that space?
Yeah, so in that space, so in searching for what is it that I want to do, how do I want to help other people build different streams of revenue, how can I coach them through? So like one of the biggest business decisions that I made was I literally merged my brokerage with eXp Realty.
eXp Realty.
So with that, I literally merged them together.
What brought you to that decision, by the way?
Yeah, so I had a very good friend of mine, Jem, and he, like, I've known him for a long, long time. Like, we would always talk about deals and different things.
Not Jim, but you're a gem.
Gem, yeah, he's a gem, exactly.
He's a real gem.
And he is a real gem, and he was with, like, Gibson Sotheby's luxury agent for, like, 20-plus years.
Yeah.
Respected
Yeah,
him
he's a
tremendously, and just, like, an absolute powerhouse, the sweetest human being, and just super down to earth. And I remember it was, like, summertime, and I was just like, yeah, and I had been approached by many people in the past. And I was just kind of like, listen, I'm a rogue kind of gal. I don't,
You like your independence.
I like my independence. I don't like to affiliate. You know what I mean? Because the business ethics are really important to me.
Sure, of course.
And I don't like to make money off of other people if it's not of true value. Right? Like
Love that.
I have
Everybody
an issue
pay
with
attention to that one right there.
Love
that. Yes.
So bringing authentic value. So Jem sat down with me and he's like, Pam, this aligns with your business goals tremendously because you are looking to go international. You are a beast in the brokerage realm. You are a deal maker. So on the agency side, it works out for you. You got all the infrastructure and all the support. But I know not only that, you can bring in people to become a shareholder in this space, and you can help people build their own brand and do what you do. And I'm like, that is the coolest thing ever. Why would I not do that? Why would I not be able to give someone an opportunity where they could be like a real estate broker without being a real estate broker?
Sure. Yeah.
And they create something that they own themselves, that nobody can take from them, that they can build generational wealth if they wanted to through the revenue share program, or they can just crush it in real estate agency and just crush it that way, but keep more money in their pocket. Right. So that's all the different revenue.
That's one of the big keys right there.
Yeah, one of the big keys. And it's like, it's the coolest thing ever. I call it the democratization of real estate.
Take that and rewind it back. The democratization of real estate. Oh my God. You heard it here first. You heard it here first from Pam. That's
honestly
amazing.
And I mean, the growth has been tremendous because, I mean, look at the Great Resignation.
Yep. Yeah.
People are chasing purpose. Yep. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Because that's the thing with COVID right now, right? For the first time, you were broken out of your cycle.
Wow.
You were shaken out.
True.
You were forced out of your routine.
That's
something
right.
you wouldn't
That's
normally
right.
do. And what's that caused? I think that caused the Great Resignation.
Yep.
Where people were like...
It was a cause and effect thing. Yeah,
100%,
you're 100% right. Yeah.
Where people are like, why am I doing this?
Yep.
Life is too short. They hear of people dying left and right of all these things. It's like, why am I doing what I'm doing?
Sure.
Does this have value in my life? They're questioning for the first time. They're awakening for the first time. And it's like something tremendous that's happened in their world. And so everyone's chasing purpose. So with that being said, people want equity. They want to be part of something. They want something that they can build for themselves and their families that's long-standing, that can never be taken from them. You know what I mean? So the game is changing. Look at crypto. That's the decentralization of banks.
That's right. That's right.
The power is getting put back into the people. And systems are being broken for the first time in history. And it's causing major disruption. Crypto's causing major disruption in the financial markets.
Yeah, it is.
And then EXP is causing major disruption in the real estate markets. Because they're like, what the hell? They have a revenue share program. There's more money going back into the pocket of the agent. Because an agent's going to look at a model like EXP. And an EXP, they say this: you can't unsee it. Once you see the model.
Once it's been there.
Yeah, and once you're an entrepreneur. So once you see the model and you're like, this agency... piece is so valuable. I put more money in my pocket. 80-20 split, cap at $16,000. And then you have $85 a month that you pay a month. No franchise
Wait,
fees,
say that
royalties.
One more time. $85 a month.
Yeah. $149 startup fee.
Holy mackerel. Okay.
How many royalty fees are people paying on the big name brokerages? Marketing fees and a whole bunch of other BS. I mean, I was told by Jem, he was giving Gibson Sotheby's like $15K average per transaction out of his pocket just because he was affiliated with the name.
Wow.
And people were doing business with him because he's the brand. They didn't care he was with Gibson. So they didn't care who he was. And that's what he figured out. He's like, I built my own brand. Why would I give that up? You know what I mean? So that's what I was saying for the agency side. And then there's a whole revenue share side, which is like, you can build out a rock star team, empower them, and they can go out there and crush it in their world. And you're not limited to state lines. You can play on an international scale, which is super cool.
But your approach towards this is not traditional.
No.
Right? It's not traditional in any way, shape, or form because you're looking to build a cohesive, call it one-stop shop team.
Yeah.
So elaborate a little bit more on what that looks like, what the total design of how you're building out your team is.
100%. So anyone who comes onto my team, it's basically this. We look at where are you at and how do we integrate real estate in that world and how do we bring in different affiliates and different partners to help you on that mission. So it's like we got our own ecosystem of people. Like, for example, a financial partner.
Yep.
You're my financial partner. If I bring someone to you, I know you're going to take care of them,
That's
right? So we create
Yep.
this massive network of trust that just absolutely crushes it. And it's super powerful because it's like the relationship trust is there. Like, I know 100% that if I bring someone onto you, you'll 100% take care of them, right? If you bring anyone onto me on the real estate side, it's like, we'll 100% do that. And everybody's winning. And it's the coolest thing ever. But it's like you're also building different revenue streams.
Sure.
You know, what I've found in the most high net worth individuals is that's what they do because that's how they protect their time and energy, right?
Absolutely.
That's exactly how we do it. And even like Kevin Harrington, when I interviewed him, the way he became a one-stop shop was unbelievable. He was a business broker and had everyone on the same floor. And he leased out to them and like everyone would feed business to one another. And it was the coolest thing ever, you know, but it's a model that works. And it's like a rising tide raises all ships. That's what it's about. Yep. But when you get greedy, that's when that model doesn't work, right? But if you are open and you're a giver, it's 100% the model for you. And it's super exciting and it can change your life. I mean, there's heavy numbers to be made in the EXP realm. Heavy numbers, like people making millions a year in passive income, which is unbelievable.
We're going to build off that in a second. We are Infinity X, stage and microphone for human excellence. I'm joined this evening by Pamela Bardhi, and actually leveraging that name, Real Estate Underdog. I got a question that came in from Jade.
Yeah.
What do you find most challenging about being the real estate underdog?
Yeah. So honestly, being the real estate underdog, it wasn't easy, right? Like I was this young female showing up on all these job sites and all these different things and like all these deals that I was creating. But you have to have the utmost confidence in yourself. Yep. But like to me, I'm going to quote Tony Robbins here.
Here we go. Love this.
Business is a spiritual game. 100,000%. So for me, it was like, you know, I looked at my parents. I'm like, these are the OG underdogs. They made it against all odds. Like, how can I not? And the way that I would look at the model when I was having a hard time with myself, I'm like, I got to make it. There's no option. My parents are counting on me. They dropped everything. They sacrificed everything for me to become something great, period. And so how are we going to break that? Like, anytime I had a hard day and I was like, oh, I don't know. Because don't get me wrong. Like I had my fear, I had my anxiety, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. You know, like literally I'd have an electrician, like he'd be on site and he'd be like, oh, Pam, where do you want the flush mount lights? And I'm like,
Hamana.
the hell is that? And I was like, hold on, I have a phone call. I go outside and I Google. And I go back in and I'm like, yeah, you can just put it right there and like right here. And like, And I was just, sometimes you've got to just do it. You have to get thrown into the fire and just roll because that's really what it comes down to. You just go.
So let's build off that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know another thing that you have launched is an educational curriculum.
Oh, yeah.
So let me hit on this for a second, guys, right? So anybody who thinks that you're going to go out there, find a property, flip it, at a capital gain within a 6-month period of time, and there's just not going to be any interruptions. It's going to be easy peasy. I find it, I sell it, have a nice day. they got another thing coming, right, Pam? And
Oh,
so,
God, hell yeah.
and so, go into a little bit, if you would, around number one, flipping a home,
Yeah.
and then number two, what drove you to build out that educational curriculum?
Absolutely. So in thinking about what's my legacy and my impact, right? So like EXP is a big part of it because I'm building out a team that's going to be doing exactly that.
Yep.
Like I'm not just teaching you how to go out there and sell real estate. That's ridiculous. You know, like I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people do it and that's awesome. But it's like, how do we take that to the next level? How do we create different revenue streams for you through real estate? Like, let me teach you commercial real estate. Let me teach you development, ground up deals. Like, let me teach you how to flip, right? So all these different verticals and different ways that you can make money. And not only that, but like business strategy advice too. Like,
Sure.
But I start with also the life component, which is like making sure your mind, body, and spirit are all connected and aligned so you can break through, and then I can take you through all these different avenues, because I'm not going to bombard you with all these different elements
If you're not spiritually
if
fit.
you're
That's just-
like if you're not right with yourself.
holistically fit with yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Lauren Hill, how are you going to win if you're not right within?
Amen. Amen. Lauren
It's
Hill,
not gonna
Miseducation, still one of the best albums of all time, by the way.
100%.
Yep.
And so that's another thing is like, you know, you got to look at it and how does this integrate into your life? Because I have all these different options, but let me help you get to where you want to be based on your goals and your visions and where you're at in life right now.
Right.
So one thing that I'm creating, and my course that just launched, the Foolproof Flipping Formula, that's my A to Z on how to flip houses, because that's where I found my success. And I found a lot of people were like, Pam, I'm super interested in your course. Like, oh my God, like I want to purchase it. It's going to be awesome. So I literally created it. And now it's like my A to Z with all the contracts, all the manuals, like legitimately everything that you would need. Because what I found with a lot of the courses was it's a lot of theory. A lot of this.
Yeah.
Smoke and mirrors. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to get your ROI. You're going to make $250,000 in a year. Da, 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 da. It's like, great. Theory sounds awesome. But what is the applicability? How do I actually, like, tomorrow start this process?
It's incredible.
What's the first thing that I do? How do I look for the deal? How do I source the deal? How do I then analyze that deal if it's profitable or not, depending on what financing year uses, which I use Excel spreadsheets to make that happen, right? I analyze everything to the T. How you meet with an owner, literally my scripts and what I say to them.
Is that right?
That's everything. And all the rehab manuals for the construction management. Nobody focuses on the construction management.
Nobody
As
does
nobody
this.
does.
Nobody does this.
Literally.
That,
And
that,
so,
that I've had exposure to.
well, literally. And my thing was, I wanted this to be the course that I wish I had when I started.
Yep.
Because I kept finding myself in circles. Constant circles. And I was like, this is just not right. I want to provide the most value. So my course, that's the first one, but I'll have many more coming. Many more courses coming so that people can learn from me without, you know, on their own time, if you will, right? You can plug into these courses and learn a bunch.
And is there video content in
Oh,
addition
yeah.
to PDF content in there?
100%. Yeah, there's video content of me explaining everything. And then there's all the workbooks, manuals, and sheets that tell you like the go-to and the how-to and who to connect with.
Yep.
To make that happen.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's all automated and you do it on your own time.
So listen, I mean, let me just take a step back here for a second, folks, because when, you know, I have conversation every single day with individuals that are aspiring to move into real estate. Pam, you know that, you know, and a lot of it is, well, what do I do first, right? The answer to that question is, well, who are you aligning yourself with? Right? You know, because if you're going to go into something like real estate investment, right, it can go very well or it can go very, very poorly.
100%.
And so what Pam is sharing is that over years of experience, she created a point A to point Z manual, step by step, for all the different intimacies of what it's going to take to buy and flip a property, and do so at a hefty capital gain, right? I mean, now, what areas geographically do you typically focus on?
I focus mostly in Boston.
In the Boston
because
market,
that's my market and that's what I know well. And I talk about this in my course. Pinpoint your 3 cities that you know like the back of your hand.
Ooh, like that.
And tap into them. Find the best agents. And I literally tap into and tell you, go to insurance agents. Like everyone who can feed you business and you guys can work together.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many sources. But real estate is, at the end of the day, a relationship-built business. It's a neighborhood business, right? It's a people business.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And like, it's all neighborhoods. You're investing in neighborhoods, and you have a big responsibility as a developer to do the right thing, right? So there's so many layers that come with being a real estate developer. But my A to Z was like, here's how you take it, and here's exactly what I did. Here's my formula. Here's how I analyze deals. That you know what your profit's going to be before you even put in an offer. A lot of people are like, I wish I knew how to do that.
Say that again. Wait a second. So you know exactly what the ROI is going to be on it before you go into it and even make the offer on it?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Literally, I put in a 20% contingency on all of my construction budgets. Because I always know something's going to go over or whatever. And like with flips and stuff, like it's really easy to get twisted in those. But I've done it long enough that I know exactly where it should be or where it should land. And I put a 20% contingency so I stay as conservative as possible. So even if we go like only 10% over budget, well, then I make more money and then that's great.
Sure.
Right? But like you should never go into a deal assuming that it sounds good to you. It's like, no, run it through the deal analyzer spreadsheet that I have and it'll tell you like to the dollar what you should be making. And you plug in there how long you're going to hold it, how you're going to finance it, how much money are you putting into it, your budget, like all of that. Yeah, everything's in there.
And that analyzes and that gives you a good snapshot of the type of liquidity that you ought to have going into the deal because of the length. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, this is my flipping formula. So you can plug in and literally rinse and repeat. And like, I know it's going to be the number one course for flipping out there, period.
And for all you good folks out there, the name of that course again?
Foolproof Flipping Formula.
Foolproof Flipping Formula. Where can they find that, Pam?
Yeah, so that's on my Instagram. Like, just click on the link on there and it'll explain everything that's in that.
We are infinityx.com. You can get Pamela Bardhi on Instagram, Pamela_Bardhi, Foolproof Flipping. Listen, if you want to get into that game, I would highly recommend checking that out. See for yourself. DM Pam, have a conversation directly with Pam. We have a couple of questions that are in the chat. One came in from David Hammer. Actually, Pam, I don't have optics. Can you see that question that came in?
I see that one that says, thank you for being a powerhouse, ABCIT. Thank you so much. Definitely would like round 2 later this year. How does your morning routine look like? Oh, my God. Every single day looks crazy different, right? This is like today I'm here in Jersey all day, right? Like, and tomorrow I'm back and cranking at deals and meeting on different sites. So the most important thing when you're balancing so much at a time, just in life in general, and honestly, I think one of my strongest things to be able to balance all that I do is time blocking. Writing it all down. Like, I literally still use an agenda and a planner, and I'm like writing it down. I'm like, from 7 to 8, I'm doing this. From 8 to 9, I'm doing this. And then, like, I put aside time for myself, too, because self-care is super important, especially as entrepreneurs. Like, Saturday, Saturday at 11 a.m., don't bother me because from 9:45 to 11 a.m., I'm in yoga. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? I almost set it like an appointment with myself. So time blocking is really critical. And, in terms of morning routine, I try to get up and I try to think about the things that I'm grateful for. It puts me in a great mindset. And then I go and I work out, and then I get really into beast mode. And then if I have the time, I try to use Scott Tennant's medical device, Dr. Tennant's device.
Shout out to Scott Tennant.
Seriously.
Tennant Institute.
I love you and Keith so much, Scott. You guys are amazing. But basically, it's like the recharge pack where it's like you're recharging your entire body, and it like resets everything. And then I'm ready to like run through walls. Then I have my protein shake, and then I'm ready to run through walls, But it's, again, time blocking and organizing everything, having your schedule and your calendar links and like all of that, So that's been super critical for me in terms of the morning routine. So that was for that question. And then the next one is, how many hurdles did you experience as a female in a male-dominated world as you launched out entrepreneurially?
Great question.
That's a great one.
Great question there.
That is
looking
so
forward
good.
to this one.
Oh, man. I used to walk on site, and people would be like, okay, so where's your boss?
Oh, boy.
And I'm yeah, I'll give her a call. So people who didn't know, but like I was like, you just take it with a grain of salt. And what I found was it doesn't really matter. Like, when you first meet somebody, if you show them the respect and the admiration and you treat them well, they're always going to reciprocate.
Yep.
If you're an absolute a-hole and you're like, have your ego up your, what, it always will go south on you. Right. So like what I found was, even with the guys, even though it was male dominated and all that stuff, it's like I showed my knowledge and I was very kind to them and I was super confident. And so they never pulled games with me.
Right.
Never.
Right.
And so like, cause I like knew my stuff, and I was like, and then if they tried to test me on something, I would check them very quickly, which is kind of uncomfortable. I've only had to do that a couple
never
of
used to
times.
getting out.
Yeah, you know, but I've
comfortable.
never, you know what I mean? Because I was always kind to them, treated them like family. And I just say, you know, it's the mutual respect and you won't have issues if you do that. But yeah, on a mental block, you could get stuck in that. But I also had an incredible role model, Cindy Stumpo, who like was literally grinding it out since the 80s. Now she builds, I mean, she's always built mega mansions in the Boston area. And she was a tough cookie, like HGTV. She had her own TV show, Tough as Nails. And watching her, watching her, like I remember when I first started, I went to her office and I was like, "Hey, Cindy, like I know you don't know me, but she's the only woman in construction that I knew." And I went up to her and I was like, "I know you don't know me, but I really admire who you are and what you do and how you stand up for yourself and like get ish done." Yeah. And gave her a huge hug, and she literally stopped. Gave me the biggest hug. She's like, "Honey, whatever you need, call me." Like, so I had
Can't put a price tag on that.
No, and like I literally had that role model right there who was like a tough cookie. So I'm like, Cindy made it through this. Like I can make it through this, right? So like when people see a real life role model, that's everything. So that's how you can break through your mental blocks, because you see someone who's actually doing it. So that's something that really helped me. And then the other question is, what advice would you give to the budding female entrepreneur with all that you've experienced?
Great question.
Such a great question. And honestly, it goes back to regret is far worse than fear. A lot of women, and I love you females, I love you women who are watching right now. I know that you doubt yourself, you question yourself. Am I good enough? Am I worth it? You absolutely are. You absolutely are. Like,
Sugar in the background saying, "I am woman, hear me roar."
yes, Big Sugar. But like, it's really the truth that you are 100% worth it. And it's like, we always question ourselves, like as women especially, we're like, am I good enough? It's like, you were created in this earth to be here for a reason. You were birthed here with a purpose, a soul purpose.
Yep.
Follow your intuition and it will never let you down. And believe in that. Because God, the universe, whatever you believe in, has got your back 100,000%. Wow. How can you be scared when you know you've got the creator behind you? You just can't, like, you can't fail. Like, that's my whole, like, thought process of, like, you're on a diving board, you're about to jump into the pool, and it's cool. It might look scary at first, right? But you do it because you know you're going to literally climb back up. Gravity's going to pull you back up, and it's the same thing. The universe has always got you. Maybe something may not go as wonderful as you like it to, but I promise you it's going to get you to the next level. There's been times that I've been scared out of my mind. The transitions from restaurants to real estate now into this world of coaching and speaking and building out teams and stuff. And I've questioned myself sometimes, like, am I good enough? Like, am I going to make it? Am I going to help people? And the answer is always like, yes, Pam, you're going to do it. Push yourself, because someone out there is counting on you and you got to do it for them. And then I remember my parents, and then it puts everything into perspective of like, okay, all right, like there's no room for failure here. Like, let's go, so that would be my advice. Just ignore the fear if you can, right? And just keep moving forward. You are 100% worth it. Just believe in you and keep rolling.
We are Infinity X, a stage and microphone for Pamela Bardhi, the real estate underdog. Foolproof flipping.
Yeah.
Right? Foolproof flipping. You can find it on Pam Bardhi at Instagram. And Pam, so with that in mind, you talked about spirit.
Yeah.
The next 5-10 years of your world is going to look even drastically different than what it does right now.
Yeah.
Take us into your future. What does that look like?
Absolutely. So what I envision is empowering in the next 5 years at least 500 individuals on my team to be financially free and rewrite their family history through that.
Rewrite their family history.
Yeah, because when you create someone who's financially free, they do that for their whole generational line.
Yep.
You break through the cycle of poverty. So that's really my goal, is to build a massive team who's crushing it and then inspires the world, right? And what I also see is myself on massive stages in the next 5 years as well, speaking into people. I really want to be the cheerleader for them, to be the one to say, listen, I believe in you. You got this. I don't care where you've been, none of that. What matters is where you're going now.
Yeah.
And so speaking is definitely a big thing. More courses, definitely more courses, so that we can reach on a worldwide platform more and more individuals and educate them, right? In the real estate space, the entrepreneurial space, all of that. And And then next is, you know, my latest organization,
Yeah.
which I've launched with my amazing partner, Jasenia Nozalilo. If you're watching, girl, love you, my soul sister. But she and I, what I've found in my success and meeting some of the most incredible people in the world is that they're deeply spiritual. And nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? But then Tony talks about it on stage, Tony Robbins, and he says business is a spiritual game.
Absolutely.
Right? So the more spiritual you are, the more giving that you are, the more you create, the more abundance you create in this life. Right? So her and I have teamed up together to create Ether Alchemy. And so basically we're creating worldwide retreats.
Wow.
And so we're intersecting the world of business and spirit and adventure all in one wheelhouse.
Oh, incredible.
So
incredible. That's awesome.
So that, and you know, we're inviting in business leaders, you know, so we want to unlock your soul potential, right? Like, let's clear you out spiritually. Let's get to the core. Yep. From there, let's get you clear. And then let's move into the action plan of where you want to be, right? So that's my whole thing is like on the coaching realm is like I really want to get heavy in that and do these retreats worldwide with her and, you know, find your purpose workshops and things like that. And then building out my real estate teams and just the courses and the speaking and all of that. Just essentially, I want to ignite the underdog in everybody and teach them how to build different streams of revenue in their world. That is my goal the next 5 to 10 years and pretty much the rest of my life. Like, I think I've figured it out. My purpose, like, that's where it is.
You think you got to figure it out now?
A
If you
little
didn't
bit.
have it before, you do now, Pam.
Yes.
You guys want to stay up with Pamela Bardhi. I feel like it's keeping up with the Joneses here. It's keeping up with the Bardhis, right? Or the Mosché Group, or what, you know.
Yeah.
Guys, this is Infinity X. This is Pamela Bardhi. Pamela Bardhi on Instagram, the Underdog podcast, top 1.5% in the world. You know, foolproof flipping. Speaking of foolproof flipping, Pam, economically right now, right? Inflation, 42-year high. Right?
Holy Jesus,
Yeah,
yes.
you know,
Yes.
and you know, supply chain challenges, construction, right?
Oh.
What are some things that you're seeing, and what are some things that you've done to pivot in you know, just in lieu of, you know, lack of supply or increased cost of goods?
Yeah. So I've been hearing about a financial collapse since 2019. So I've been positioning myself since then. Unless I get a smashing deal on something, I'm not buying anything.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
And I still had some long-term projects. I closed out 13 of them in 2021. And now I'm focused pretty much on just my rental properties and everything that I've got and focusing primarily on just the coaching and the speaking and all that world. So I've already pivoted, right? But that's because there was a lot of life transitions and things like that. Yeah. But there's a scary time in the market coming right now. I think it's going to affect financial markets, which it already is, and the real estate markets, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, forbearances because of COVID. There's so many things happening with all that. Short sales and foreclosures are at an all-time high right now, and it's really exciting. Like, not exciting. It's really horrible.
Well,
like,
but
it's
understood.
Like, but like,
it's horrible, but you know.
It's
also
it's
opportunity.
not an exciting time for it's
yeah.
an exciting time for investors because they're like, oh my God. But at the same token, I'm like, how do I help these people? Because again, this is going to be insane what's coming. If someone didn't have the money to pay their mortgage 3 months ago, what makes you think a lump sum of 3 months payments altogether, they're going to be able to do it now?
It's not going to change
What's
anything.
the
It's just
likelihood?
the hamster wheel.
Yeah. What's the likelihood?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's really tough. And like the way that inflation's going, construction materials are up 300 to 400%. Like, I'm not trying to say doom and gloom. I'm trying to say buckle your seatbelts because I think we're entering into something really massively huge in the markets. And you want to be as liquid as you possibly can and as debt-free as you possibly can, and to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming real soon. Because I can tell you banks and lenders are tightening their lending restrictions. They've already stopped a few home equity lines of credit. Some banks have already stopped doing those because they believe that the valuations on real estate are too high right now, which is scary to think about. And so,
wish they would have stopped in 2008.
Right, exactly.
Didn't really make that happen, but
exactly. So that's the thing is like pivoting into the markets. It's like, you know, what are your goals? Like financially, like how you guys put together financial strategies. It's like, how are you going to weather the storm? Because I was literally sitting at the EXP conference last August in Dallas, and Tony Robbins is like, you know, you guys are doing great. You know, it's the summertime right now for you. It is summer season. You guys are making money. You're living the dream. You're doing this. You're doing that.
But winter's coming.
Mm-hmm. Are you prepared? Right? So, for anyone who's, and so are you prepared? Like, how are you over leveraged right now? If you are, sell it. Sell it. Take move, just look at your strategies. If you have an asset that you're going to hold on to for the next 10 years, by all means, keep it. If you're planning to sell it within a couple years, I would do it now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just look at, are you over leveraged? How much debt do you have? How much liquidity do you have access to? Should, God forbid, something happen? Do you have those streams of revenue coming in? Key. This is why I'm so keen on different streams of revenue, because I've seen so many people lose their shirt because I lost my job. Then I lost everything. Well, damn.
Yeah.
Had you had a bunch of different things in place, that would have never happened.
That's so true.
It's
so true. Like when somebody, whether they're somebody like yourself who's a powerhouse or just somebody who's emerging, when they come into us and see us for the first time, what do? We look underneath the hood, put them onto the Epic Wealth Builder, create a balance sheet, understand asset, liability, cash flow, good, bad, and indifferent. Yeah. What's deductible debt? What's non-deductible debt? How many months of, call it sleep well at night account that you have, or, strategic reserves. It's no different for people who are operating in your position that have done over $100 million of real estate than somebody who's just starting out, Pam, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's like, or what does your debt look like? Like everything. It's absolutely critical to make sure you're not over leveraged and watch your debts. Right.
Pam, let me ask you another question. So, at the beginning of, I believe it was the beginning of last year, the middle point of last year. At one point, I can't recall exactly when it was timeline, they were talking about 1031 exchange, right?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe eliminating 1031 exchange, right? That was a rumor for
Let's not talk about that and remind the government about that policy. Please do not do
Mum's
that.
the word. Joe, turn your volume as down low as you possibly can.
Please.
With that in mind, though, how do you leverage 1031?
So that is a very powerful tool. 1031 exchanges are basically like you could sell a property and then buy something else within 6 months, tax-free. So those proceeds go directly to that property. And then the way that you bypass that is you buy that property and then say it's free and clear. Then you do a cash out refi and you get your money tax-free. I just dropped a bomb on you people.
You guys just received an atom bomb within about a 5-second period of time period. Go over that one more time, Pam.
Absolutely. Yeah. So say you use 1031 to basically purchase another property.
Right.
Well, guess what? Now you own that property. I don't know what your mortgage is on it or whatever, but if you've got equity, you can do a cash out refinance, get your money, and it's tax free. I see people do it all the time. Other investors, and I'm like, dude, I've done it too. I'm like, this is the greatest. It's like the loophole, right?
Yeah.
But it's not really a loophole, right? Because it's the equity that you've built in it. Obviously, this is where numbers come in, and analyzing that deal is critically important.
And when somebody buys your educational content, Pam, is this the type of education that you provide to them? And what does that look like? Is it ongoing coaching? Like what's the structure?
So in my real estate teams that I'm building out, anyone who's on my team directly, I coach directly, and I teach them all the different strategies. And then depending on what strategy they choose, I'll mention things like this, like loopholes and things that they can make more, and strategies that they can compound. But it depends on what they're doing, right? Like somebody who's only wants to sell real estate, they're not really going to care about the 1031 exchange.
No,
but
right, because they're
so it's
looking for
really
residual
it's much
assets.
like you, where you're creating the financial strategies based on the financial background. Mine is like, let me look at your life picture. How are we integrating real estate? How do you want to diversify in real estate? And then we pick and choose.
And you work in partnership with somebody like me. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then we figure it out. Like, what's the best strategy? Okay, well, if you flip, here's what you can do. 1031 that, cash out refi, go use that cash out for something else, and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So there's people that I know that do that on a massive scale with commercial properties. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, and it's super powerful.
Incredible. We are Infinity X. I was just checking the chat to make sure that I didn't miss out on any questions. We are giving stages and microphones to... Listen, I have to say... when I first met Pam, I knew that I was in the presence of somebody who was doing things at a different level and was going, in my mind, going to be great. I didn't realize how fast that you were going to accelerate. Not only what you're doing in the real estate game, but also in your influence, And For those of you who joined us this evening, for those of you watching us on YouTube, or Spotify, or any of our other verticals out there, I want you to think about the level of content that you received tonight for free. Right? Absolutely at no cost to yourself. You got hundreds of thousands of dollars of dimes, just the last 10 seconds, just the last 15 seconds. We are Infinity X, looking to bring megapreneurs like Pamela Bardhi to the stage and microphone each and every single week. And Pam, it's like, every time I have the opportunity to spend time with you, I learn a little bit more, but I just am so... It's so obvious to me why I'm so grateful that you're a business partner, and that we have the relationship with that we do, Pam. It's just been so incredible tonight.
Oh man, you're an absolute rock star. You and Rob, just like I adore, love, and respect you guys so much, because you're there to help people. At the end of the day.
Yeah. Any parting shots for the thank you.
Yeah.
And any parting shots for the group before we finish up tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. So just remember, regret is far worse than fear. Go out there and get it. Like, what do you have to lose, really? You think about fear, and it's like this mental block. At the end of the day, it's like, just go out there and get it. So what if it doesn't work out? Okay, you pivot, you do something else. Like, it's all good. Like, whatever you have in your mind that you came tonight thinking in your head, is this thing right for me, or whatever you've got going on in your mind, this is your confirmation that yes, it's true. Rock and roll. I believe in you. You got this. Okay. So I want to say that. And then the second part is, like, you guys can, I'm partners with Dave. He's absolutely incredible, but like, reach out to me on LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever, DM me, like, any questions you have about real estate, like really anything in life. Like, I'm happy to help you. I'm here to serve. I'm here to be an asset to you, and honestly provide as much value as I possibly can. Because I want to see you rock your world. Then you're going to rock more worlds, and it's just going to be awesome. So
incredible.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Pam, I see you in our future. And folks, thank you again for spending time with us tonight. We are Infinity X. We are Infinity X YouTube. We were joined tonight by Pamela Bardhi, the Underdog, the Real Estate Underdog, the Underdog Podcast, Foolproof Flipping. And until next week, guys, again, Pam, thank you so much. We will see you next week, Tuesday evening, 7 p.m., same platform, for another great conversation on We Are Infinity X. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you.